NWSL standings I don't think I've ever seen them this tight. In the last several years, it is absolutely teams just on top of each other. We're going to be getting into third and fourth tiebreakers in the standings because there are only 3 points separating 8th place from 12th place, 3 points separating second from 5th. It is so tight in the table. So we thought if we take a look at the teams that are on the bubble, so we're looking at Gotham in 8th place, North Carolina in 9th, Houston Dash in 10th, Bay FC in 11th, and Angel City in 12th. Which team will definitely, absolutely make the playoffs when the 2025 regular season comes to a close? Jen, who do you have? Pressure's on, my gal. Everyone, get out your pens and paper. Take receipts in this moment.
Well, yeah, so you can come back to me like you were miles off. You know what? I wish I could have asked Joelle more questions on this, but I'm going to go Bay FC. And purely, I have a few reasons, but I'll start with saying whenever I've watched them, right, I've been at a fair few of their home games this season, they create so many chances. For me, it's just about converting them. And they will have picked up, they would have been so, it's obvious to say, right? I'm stating the obvious, but they've created some great chances. Watching Kudananji hit both posts and the crossbar, I'm thinking they go in, you're coming in away with a win, and your season looks different. So that, out of principle, they're creating the chances. It's just about converting. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. But as long as you're thinking, right, we're creating, we just need to convert, we'll get more points. Secondly, I think, with my experience anyway, with last season, we didn't start well last season at all. But this was a point where we started to click and we started to pick up momentum. My only worry with them, they do have a lot of injuries. There's a lot of people on the sidelines, big players missing, Menges, Dalkemper, but other people have stepped up for it. So for me, it's about that group gelling and coming into this last point and taking last year's experience of being like, no, there's still a lot of football left to be played. They also still have the incentive of the final being played at PayPal Park. So I feel like that's always in their mind. That's what you're playing for. So I think they've still got the quality. I think bottom line, they have the quality in that locker room to be in a playoff spot. It's just about executing at a weekend. And for me, it's scoring goals. So that is my argument. And fingers crossed, come the end of the season, I'll be like, yeah, they did make it. Good job.
It's such a good shout about them having the championship. If I was a Bay player right now, I'd call up someone from Kansas City and be like, describe the bitter taste in your mouth when you didn't get to play in that championship, because that would, I'm even just listening to Lowe talk about it this whole season at the end of last year of how much Kansas City missed out on playing in their home stadium in an NWSL championship. I think if I was Bay, I'd call them, see what's up. That's a pretty good shout for Bay. It's just so tight. It's such small margins that separate all of these teams.
I couldn't agree more, but in the small margins, I think BFC is a small margin. I don't think it's anything fundamentally wrong that's gone wrong, whether it's conceding loads of goals or, for me, they're doing all the right things right. It's just about converting. So for me, it's small margins, like you said, small between the teams, but for them, it's also a small margin between tying and winning.
And for Bay, if they could either get Kudananji on a little bit of a spree, scoring goals and get her on a hot streak, or as a group level up, right? They have two options in which they can go, which makes this Bay shout to definitely be in the playoffs one of the better ones that we're probably going to hear in this segment.
What do you think, Lise? What are you saying?
Okay, guys, I'm going with Houston Dash. I think that they're going to make it.
I did not expect you to say that. I'm not really. Well, I didn't expect.
Okay, go on. Tell us why.
Look at the recent results. Look at the way Houston has picked up 3 games in the bag, 3 undefeated games since this international break that we had over the summer. Charles Sneed on the show with me live in the chat saying Houston's going to make these playoffs as well. When you look at the way Houston has played over the last couple of weeks, closing out games against Gotham, right, forcing mistakes, that the Emily Sonnet own goal, the Alozia in the waning minutes of this game, being able to come in clutch for Houston against Gotham last week. And then you look at their play overall against North Carolina that dominates in possession. I think we're seeing multiple threats come out of Houston at the right time because their ability to manage games, to look at their and understand how can we hurt you or what can we do to put you in compromising positions. And then also relying a little bit on the flair that Houston has of this underdog mentality of we're this scrappy team that can try to get things done. Plus the way that Fabrice Gatral has been in and around the NWSL. He understands how to manage these final weeks of a season, being at North Carolina, sneaking in at times. He can bring that experience to Houston. And they also got veterans on this team that also have been in these positions where they've missed out small moments in games in the waning weeks of the NWSL regular season. And that mentality is going to help Houston Dash, guys. They're going to make a run. The Dash is going to be in the playoffs. Said it here.
Okay, this is going to sound biased and favorable, but it's logical. Gotham is going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. What?
Yes.
And they're only above the playoff line right now by goal differential, McCall.
And I'll tell you why. Because they have experienced players who are clutch in the big moments, like an Astaire, like an Emily Sonnet, like a Rose Lavelle. I mean, their roster is really strong. If you look at it player by player, they have a strong roster with really good experienced players. And yes, they've been a little bit rocky this year, but they have professionals. If I know anything about Emily Sonnet, she is walking around the locker room like a freaking psychopath, grabbing everyone for like little mini meetings and getting every little detail, like squaring it away. Also, Michelle Betos, on their coaching staff. And they last year lost in the semifinal, not a good taste in your mouth. The year before won the championship. So they're in that sensitive moment where it's like, are we slipping downwards? And so they're just grasping to every little detailed disciplinary sacrifice that they can make to crawl themselves out of it. And they have the players with that class and that clutch that will help them do it.
Okay, Gotham was my team that has the most to lose this weekend, McCall. And I appreciate your insight and your ability to ride with Gotham. If they drop points against Utah this weekend, does that change your opinion on them?
Well, and also to consider the opponent, right? So, all the love to Utah, but they're playing a team that they should get 3 points off of. And that's what they need. That'll unlock everything. It'll give them the good feels again.
Okay, but what if they don't?
They're gonna. It's going to be fine. They're doing this.
She's headstrong.
I was going to say blind by her biases right now.
Love is Blind episode right now.
Okay, that's a good one, McCall. I don't know. What do you think, Jen? Is Gotham a shout here that we could see?
I mean, Gotham will always be a shout, right? Based on, like McCall said, the quality. I think you've got a golden boot front runner in your team, then you have to be thinking about playoffs. Imagine someone in your team wins the golden boot, but you don't win playoffs. For me, that would be
crazy.
That's crazy. So I think that for me, it's like, again, it's small margins. You're looking at the goals they conceded, and it, like, obviously that the Emily Sutton one was so unfortunate, but you've got Ann-Katrin Berger playing the way she does, building out the back, and in this league, teams will look at that as something to go for, right? If a team is wanting to play at the back and build up. So in that sense, I don't worry about them. I agree with McCall. I think they have the quality to go and do it. For me, it's just about executing, which I've said already.
And as McCall said, you got to look at the opposition. And yes, Gotham takes on Utah this weekend, but the rest of their schedule, they have to face all the top teams: Orlando, San Diego, Portland. They will play Kansas City as well, on top of the CONCACAF W champions.
But they're better when they play better teams.
This is true. They always do level up.
It's like they match the energy. And like I said, when it gets important, when it gets real, those top class players that they have lock in.
Wait, Lisa, people are agreeing with you in the poll.
Let's go. Finally, the chat is backing me up. I've been on the other side of this so often.
I'm a little bit shook.
I will say though,
come on.
Okay. I will say though, Gotham better be careful, because to your point earlier about they have a golden boot competitor. When you have a striker on your team who's doing everything they can, scoring all the goals, and they still don't make the playoffs, they want to leave your club. Because they don't. You start to lose your players if they don't feel like they're at a winning club on a winning team.
So you think Astaire, if they don't make the playoffs, is going
to... I mean, they start to look around. They want to go other places because everybody wants to win. And if they feel like it's an empty well, And that's what I'm saying. It's a sensitive time for Gotham right now, but I believe in them. I think they're going to snatch it. They're going to snatch it back. They're going to be fine.
The chat is saying, people on YouTube, 55% of them agree that Houston Dash are definitely going to make the postseason. 33% say Gotham, and only 11% say Bay, which does leave out Angel City and North Carolina that are currently at 9th place for North Carolina and 12th place for Angel City. But I mean, as much of experts as we are, guys, anything literally could happen.
I know.
Anything could happen. That's what makes it.
We love sports. That's why we love the NWSL.
NWSL. So take these receipts down. Let us know in a couple of weeks when we get to week 26 how right or how wrong we absolutely were in these predictions.